Welcome to a new episode of Frederique Knits and Spins. It is the end of January already, and I hope you're all keeping well. First of all, thank you so much for all the lovely comments and general feedback on the last vlog episode, which was at the end of December. Seems ages ago at this stage. I hope everyone is keeping well. In this episode, I didn't have a massive plan for this one, but I definitely wanted to show you some of the works that I've been completing and stuff that I've been working on over the last while, because there's been lots going on. I wanted to issue an episode earlier, but unfortunately I had a weird infection earlier in the month, and then I got the flu over the last week, and I'm only just recovering, as you can hear. But I really wanted to record this video because I just thought that gives me lots of energy, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And I have lots to show, so hopefully you'll enjoy. So I'll show you some of the works that I've made. I can't show everything. There's one project that is a bit of a secret, which is always nice. But I can tell you a little bit about it, and especially show you some of the yarn I've used for that. So some of my completed work, some of the projects that I'm working on at the moment, and also some spinning that I'm doing. I've bought a few books that I'd like to show you, and I have also bought some yarn. I'll tell you about that later. And let me see, what else did I want to say? Not sure. Better just get started and show you what I've got. So I am going to start with what I've just finished, and then I'll go back to December. It's stuff that I completed in December and January, but I'm going to start with the latest one because I'm at the moment the most enthusiastic about it. So it's a hat, and it's a very quick knit, and I'll put it on so you can appreciate it best. There we go. This is my, now I have to wear a jacket with it, but this is my a twisted affair hat. It's a pattern from Joji Locatelli. Sorry, I had to think of the name. It's my first pattern that I'm knitting of her, and it was recommended by the team at This Is Knit when they brought out their new yarn, which is a beautiful chunky yarn, and it's an Irish yarn. It's by Ériu, Ireland, and they've cooperated with Townhouse Yarns, which is under the umbrella of This Is Knit in Dublin. Anyway, Townhouse Yarns have dyed the yarn, and this is the result of one of their colours. This is the Burren colour, and I love everything that Jenny of Townhouse Yarns dyes in that colour, or in the different colours of the Burren. Might have to do something with the name, I'm not sure. My surname is Van Buren, and some of you might have noticed that is not an Irish name, and it's very difficult for people to spell that correctly because it is B-U-U-R-E-N. And the Burren in Ireland is a beautiful area in County Clare, close to the Cliffs of Moher, which is famous for its nearly moonscape with rocks and beautiful. There's little vegetation in some of the areas. It's very rocky. There's small plants growing between the rocks. You'll find heather there, but this definitely is inspired by the colours of the Burren, and I can see that, and I absolutely love it. The heather, the green of some of the ferns, and then some mosses that you find growing there. You have the sea close by, so all these colours are in the yarn and in the yarn colours. I finished this literally over the course of 2 days or 3 days. I was afraid I was running out of yarn because the pattern comes originally, well, the pattern uses a brim, or it folds the edge, but because the wool is quite chunky, I decided not to fold it and to just leave it like this. I stupidly only bought one skein, and I've made that mistake once before. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not going to have enough, especially if I was not gonna, if I wanted to make the hat with a folded brim. But then I had knitted some up with the second skein that I ordered, and even though they thought it was the same, it's slightly more intense, these colours, so I could notice the difference between the two when I was knitting the crown of the hat, and I decided against it. So I frogged it to about 2 times into the cable pattern repeat, and from there I started knitting the crown, and I measured it constantly when I was knitting it, just to make sure that it would fit my head snugly, because I didn't want to have kind of a bit of leftover at the top of my head. I never like it when the hat is has a bit of space left. I have another hat, my first cable hat that I ever knit, is just a little bit too big because of that. So I was constantly fitting it, and it worked out perfectly well. If you know the pattern, A Twisted Affair, it's a really straightforward cable knit. A beginner can do this. It's handy to have a cable needle. I use my standard cable needle for this, but it's really not difficult because I only have 1, 2, 3 cables, 3 times where I needed that for the round. This hat is knitted, it's the small or the medium version of it. There's also the large version is described in the pattern as well, which is just one more repeat basically of the pattern. The pattern is free, so it's a little gift from Georgie Locatelli, and I can definitely recommend it. Would I do anything different? I wanted to try out a cast on where you don't have to measure. I didn't want to use the long tail cast on. I wanted to try out if it works if you use the start of a skein of yarn and the end. So I did that, and it worked really well. The only thing was that the cast on was quite loose, and because I decided at the end that I wanted to have a straight brim and not a folded brim, I had to kind of tighten the edge, the cast on edge, which I did by just, distributing the yarn through the brim, which was quite easy, and I have quite a neat edge, I find. So that worked well. Maybe next time I will use a tubular cast on, but that's not always as. It's nice to have a nice tight or kind of an elastic edge, and maybe the tubular would not be tight enough, but then it does look very nice, especially with a rib edge. Anyway, very enthusiastic about this yarn and about the colors, so hopefully you like my first project in that yarn. So the first project I finished this year, and I only finished that at the weekend, was a test knit basically for Ériu Ireland, and I can't show you the pattern because it's a test and they want to release it later in the spring, but I can tell you I used one of their new yarns for this. It's a yarn that they're going to bring out later in the spring, and I can give you a peek of what it looks like. It is a DK weight yarn. It's 100% Irish wool. It's Blueface Leicester Romney mix, and it's spun differently. This is a worsted spun, whereas their previous yarns were this is the same color. It's a sheep's back as well. It's a different. This is a woolen spun, so it's just ever so slightly different in the way it looks. Plus, this is a plumpier feel. It's a bit thicker. So this one would be a sport weight, and this is a DK weight, and you can see the difference. I know they're bringing out a number of different weights and blends, etc., and also colors, as you've just seen. Sorry, just refocusing. As you've just seen in the yarn that Townhouse has dyed. So very interesting what's going on there. But I want to give you just a little peek of what it looks knitted up. Just this is the back of the sweater that I've knit, and it's incredibly beautiful. It's very soft. It's skin to skin. It's really skin soft. And with this yarn, I loved using a little bit of lace with it, and this one I would very happily wear this like that. This is just not the best color for my skin because it drains all the color out of me. So sheep's back is not the color that I can best wear. I would need a white or like a very soft creamy white. This is not the best one for me. Very enthusiastic about that. Can't show you the full one, but I'm sure at some stage I'll be able, when they've released the yarn and the pattern, I'll be able to show you more. But keep an eye out on what they're doing at Ériu, Ireland. Just if you haven't come across them, I'm always doing a little bit, and I'm in no way affiliated. Just I'm so happy with local yarn, basically. Sorry. So this is their brand. You'll come across them. Yeah. So that was my first project of the year completed. So the December project, the December project that I finished. This is the first one I want to talk about. It's a Sophie Scarf, and it's not the small one, it's the bigger one. So I'll take it off for a moment. I think everyone knows at this stage what a Sophie Scarf is. It's a smaller scarf. You wrap it around your neck once or twice, and there's a real trend last year, I suppose. I knitted one other short scarf as a test knit for Cecilia. Oh, forgot her name. And it's just nice. You can just wear this in a shirt, or even on a sweater like this. It doesn't really look silly. And it's just a little neck warmer. But the wool, I had one skein of this yarn. I got this from my friend Marlies when we visited a fair in the Netherlands last year, a creative fair. Créado, the name is. I don't know how to pronounce that in English. I don't think there's a variant of that. Anyway, she bought some yarn. It's long yarns, and it's Frida is the specific wool name. It's discontinued, that's a pity, and it's beautiful variegated, or yeah, changing colors, and I absolutely loved it. Well, she got a deal 3 for the price of 2, and she only needed 2 balls, and I chose this shade, and I got that as a gift from her. So I wanted to make something. It's just a one skein project. It was, I think, 100 grams. So I looked up Sophie Scarf was fitting, and I wanted to knit the bigger Sophie Scarf, because Sophie Scarf comes in 2 sizes. You have the small one, which is really tiny, and this one is just that bit bigger. Let me see. So really pleased with this. I've worn it quite a few times already, and I will definitely do so, and I think it's nice for spring as well. Just with a denim jacket, wear it very casually like that. And yeah, I got really nice reactions to the yarn, especially as well. So a lot of people are sad to see this specific yarn go, but there's plenty others, hopefully, that you can choose from. And then just a little fun project was this tiny sweater. Don't you think it's so super cute? You've probably seen patterns for these tiny sweaters around. This particular one, let's just check my notes, it's Miriam Felton's, and I'll link her in the notes below. But this is made with some leftover BioBalance yarn from BC Garn, if I'm correct, that I had used for my for one of my sweaters over the last year. It's a cotton merino blend, if I'm correct. And I just embroidered the snowflake on the front. It's not the most beautiful one. I did notice when I was looking at a couple of patterns for a shawl that Stephen West has a tiny sweater pattern on his website as well. So it's exactly the same way as you would knit a top-down sweater, which is very quick because it's so small. I loved the way that the raglan is showing so nicely as well. Anyway, it was in my Christmas tree over Christmas, as you can see in the picture here, and I will keep it as a little reminder of Christmas. And I thought it's nice if you have a favorite project of a year and you have some leftover yarn of that project to just make a little sweater of it and hang it in your Christmas tree, or yeah, just as a reminder of how much fun you had with a certain yarn or a certain design that you made. Anyway, I wanted to include it in my finished patterns because yeah, it's worth it. Then quite a big project that I completed as well is this sweater for my daughter. It is the Kristtjørn sweater, the Kristtjørn Christmas sweater by Hanne Riemen. Absolutely beautiful design, and difficult to show it in its entirety, so I will include it here as well, so you can admire it on this mannequin. I really enjoyed making this sweater. It was very funny. My daughter had seen the pattern on my Instagram when I was showing her different options for a Christmas sweater, because she needed a new Christmas sweater, and I said, we're not going to buy one that you'll throw away again next year. That time is over. And you know me and my I'm very focused on sustainability, and I don't like to throw away stuff, at least if someone else can wear it after she doesn't wear it. And this is for my youngest daughter, and she is only she's 12, so, and she's still growing. She's very tall already, so this will definitely be okay for next year as well, but I don't know if after that she'll still be able to wear it. So she might want to hold on to it for maybe later, or we might give it to someone else afterwards. So she had very specific wishes. Eve, my youngest, is quite particular in how she likes her clothes, and that's perfect. I have no problem with that. So she wanted this at the bottom of the arms. This is not in the original design, so I just repeated some of the pattern from the top of, from the yoke basically, in here. So I worked out over the length of the sleeve where I had to start with the pattern, and she wanted the sleeve edges in green, and I thought that was a very smart idea, because you know how sleeves go over the table. She does a lot of drawing and painting, so it would get dirty quite quickly. So this solves that problem as well. Plus it's just a nice little repeat and a bit of colour at the bottom, otherwise it would have been so much white. So that's something that I just added myself. And the other thing she wanted, because the original pattern is not as fitted at the bottom, so this is quite tight. I reduced over a couple of rows, quite a few stitches. So when she wears it now, it's nice. She can, you know, she can really dress it and kind of fold it over the edge of her over her belt if she wants to, and it looks gorgeous on her, as you can see here, shared with permission. Just to add, I did of course have a few issues. Don't we all have a few issues when we're knitting colour work? This was only my second major colour work yoke sweater. You can probably see it a little bit here in these rows. I had to do a lot of stretching and pulling when I was blocking it. The other thing that you can just notice my color dominance is not perfect. I did hold the color in my left hand so that it would show up best, but because I must have just, I was so good at the start, really minding my tension, checking after every row, and I think I must have started to rush a little bit when I got to the last part of the yoke. I was really enjoying knitting this, mind you, but there was a little bit of pressure on me because there was a Christmas show for which this had to be worn, so I had to continue knitting quite fast. So anyway, this, I might have rushed there a little bit too, and it was a bit tight, so I ended up having to do some remedial work at the back, and I'll tell you what I did. Don't laugh, but at the back where it was very tight, and where I had these very long floats, because as you can see there's quite a bit of space between the tips of the leaves there, so I cut the floats and I just loosened it up a little bit, and then I just worked in the ends and tied it to the back, so in that way I loosened up the whole yoke a little bit, so now it doesn't stretch as much anymore, doesn't pucker, but yeah, that gave me a little bit of a headache, because I thought, oh, and I only really noticed this, of course, when I was halfway the body, and I thought, oh my goodness, why did I not pay attention? Anyway, I think it worked out okay in the end. I'm very proud of it. It's absolutely gorgeous color combination. I'll tell you which yarns I used for this. I got this yarn, it's an Italian merino. I got this at that same fair as where I got the yarn for my Sophie Scarf from, and I bought a sweater quantity, so I have a little bit left of that. Then for the green, I used this is a Sessia yarn. I got this in, I think it was Winnie's wool wagon in Booterstown in Dublin, and I combined that with an alpaca that I got in This Is Knit. I got that from a previous project, and some kit silk. So these three colors make up that beautiful green leaf in this sweater. And then for the berries, they are embroidered onto the sweater at the end, and I really enjoyed making that. I had to watch a few YouTube movies or YouTube videos to check out how I did that again, how I was going to do that again, and I used my hand spun ruby for that. Really enjoyed putting these on. The pattern tells you you're gonna have to do more than you think. I didn't mind doing that at all. I just had some nice music on and I put them on. Will I knit this again? Maybe. I have to say I really like Hannah Rieman's patterns, the winter patterns, and she has another beautiful Christmas sweater. So anyway, next time I will definitely start a little bit earlier with my Christmas projects. So that's one for next year. Then the last project I completed, or the first project I completed in December, was this. And you probably have seen it already, and you might have guessed what it is. It's the cloud sweater, also by Petite Knit, just like the Sophie Scarf. This was the third or fourth pattern that I've knitted by by Petite Knit, and I have to say, this sweater, I have worn this constantly over the last 2 months since I finished it. It's so soft. The fit is absolutely lovely. I love the neck because it's kind of this rolled neck, so you have a warm neck. And the sleeves I love because they're not too tight, but they have this detail, makes it kind of rolls up a little bit. It's just because you do a stockinette finish after this little detail here, the rib detail, and the same is done at the bottom, so you have the same here. I was a little bit in doubt about the length when I just finished it. I thought, oh, did I stop too early? But no, I'm happy with it, because when you wear jeans that are a bit higher up. Just fits beautifully, and even on a skirt it's absolutely gorgeous. So the yarn that I used for this is the Drops alpaca, which is quite thin, but I used double thread of it, and I was in the shop in Winnie's Wool Wagon in Booterstown, and the girl who helped me, she was absolutely favoriting or a very big fan of the Drops alpaca, and I have to say I agree, it's beautiful and it's such fantastic value for money. I still have a good bit left out. I bought way too much of this yarn, and I can think of tons of things that I've knit with it. This color, this grey, it's just it's really nice. It gives a nice lift, but it doesn't drain the color from my skin, at least. So did I have any issues with this pattern? Not really, apart from the shoulder stitches. I don't know, it must be the way that I pick up my stitches. I have these slight gaps here at the shoulder. Now, as you can see, it's a lovely design, because it kind of it puts these purl stitches here at the top of the shoulder, and then you pick up stitches for the arms here along the edge, and you do repeat those purl rows here as well. So this went well, but it's just not. I have to say, here on this side I have a little bit of the same, but just I have these little gaps, so I must look up in the coming year how to improve that. The other thing, there's short rows to raise the back, which is brilliant. I master that now, and I really think it's a brilliant way to construct your sweater properly. But when you have to do rows back and forth, I'm still struggling to get an even knit. I mean, I know your purl and your knit rows are slightly different, so a few people have now given me the tip, thanks very much, to use a slightly smaller needle for my purl rows, so that because my purl stitches are just a little bit bigger, so I won't have the slight difference in the rows. You can see it a little bit here. For now, I just think, okay, doesn't matter. That's the progress that you have as a knitter. You can see where you're coming from and where you go, and it doesn't matter. I just love this. So yeah, that's the cloud sweater, and if you're ever thinking of knitting that, I would recommend it very much. Then I wanted to talk a little bit about my works in progress, and I was saying already that I love that colour Burren by Townhouse Yarns so much. I'll talk about spinning first. So before Christmas I got this beautiful fluff roving, or well, it's merino, and it's dyed by Jenny at Townhouse Yarns. So they only introduced their own fluff last year. It's 110 grams in total, so I won't be able to spin it up for a complete sweater, but that was not my intention, because I am not there yet to get an even consistency. I'm getting much better at it all the time. So this is the first skein that I spun with that coming from this. So you can see the different colors are mixed in beautifully, and I have just completed spinning, nice spindle, the second one of it. And again, you can see that the different colors are represented all throughout the spun result. I just have to skein this up now, and then after that I have to wash it, as I did before, and then I have to decide what I'm going to knit with it. And I thought this might combine really nicely as a contrast color with another hand spun. This is another merino that I spun earlier last year. I think I told you about this in a previous vlog episode. So I have this, which is slightly thinner. Might combine that with a strand of kid silk, I'm not sure yet, but anyway, these two colors, I think, as this with as a base, and then this as a contrast color, that might just be a very nice shawl, or not sure yet. But we'll see where it goes. But just to show you, next to the hat, this is also in the Burren colours. So I'll just put that down for a moment. This is slightly greener, but the same colours are coming back. I just love that combination. Anyway, as a side, so I'll keep you posted on how I'm progressing with the spinning and when I'm making something with my hand spun yarn. I nearly forgot to tell you, I got this fabulous book in December, I think. Was it December or was it November? No, I think it was December. It's called Yarnitecture, and I definitely use this in improving my spinning skills. It has great information about how you can ensure consistency, how you can get to a more woolen spun or worsted spun. It explains all the differences, things I never knew about, but now I understand. But there's so much detail in that. Jesus, it's a study in itself. So, but anyway, it's absolutely helping me in improving my spinning, and it's a beautiful book in itself as well. Just all the colors and techniques and the way it's presented. I thought it was really, really interesting. Another project that I am hoping, that I'm working on at the moment, and I have picked up the speed on that now, is a sweater for my husband. I had promised to make him a nice warm winter sweater, and this is the Lounge Sweater Man by Cozy Knits, if I'm correct. Again, I'll link it in the notes below. It's beautiful navy blue color. The sleeves are stockinette stitch, and the body is in seed rib stitch. It's absolutely beautiful. The seed rib stitch is also included in the raglan, as you can see. It's a folded edge, and I am really happy with how this is going. So far so good. I haven't had any issues. I thought, oh, it's going to take me forever to finish this, but it's actually, when you sit down and you knit 2 rows, is nearly a centimeter. It's knit on 5mm needles, knitting needles. And I have to say, my 5mm needles, they're so busy, because nearly every project that I've done over the last couple of weeks was on 5mm needles. Okay, maybe not the sweater for Ériu, but this hat was on 5mm needles, and there's something else happening on that as well. So yeah, it's a work in progress. I am using the Drops Nepal yarn for that single strand. It's an Aran weight, or is it bulky? I think it's bulky. Initially, I had cast this on with an Alafoslopi Icelandic yarn, but I frogged that because he thought it was a little bit too itchy against his skin, and I agreed that's not his cup of tea, but it will be mine, because I am planning to make a cardigan with that yarn that I now have. I got that from my friend Anouk, and I'm going to make a cardigan, or a vest or something that you can wear over something in winter time, or even for when you're out in the garden and doing some light stuff. I'll be able to wear it that way. It will not go to waste, but this is the one that I'm now using for this very, very cozy lounge sweater for men. I love it. So just quickly wanted to show you a new technique that I learned. When you're knitting bottom up, I had never before used a tubular cast on, because most of the sweaters I knit are top down. You finish with a tubular cast off or an Italian bind off, depends on what you call it, but basically resulting in a beautiful edge, and the ribbing will just continue front and back. But I had never done that as a cast on, and I thought it was complicated until I saw a video, and I thought, maybe not that complicated, I can do that. So I used that for my project that I can't show, the sweater for Ériu, that is using a bottom-up approach. So that's this this is the result of that, and I was very, very pleased with how that turned out. I used an instruction video by Stephen West and another one of that, and I'll share them below for if you've never done that, or if you just want a refresher your mind on how to approach that. I can recommend it. The other thing I did with that same sweater is, instead of knitting it flat and assembling it then at the end, or sewing the pieces together, I decided to knit in the round. So I had to figure out from the pattern how to join the sleeves, how to work the raglan instead of decreasing and basically casting off the edges of the body front and the back. I had to continue knitting. So I had to do a bit of calculating for knitting, not for the knitting in the round, that's quite straightforward, and it goes so much faster than when you're knitting back and front, and you avoid the issue of having to knit a lot of purl rows where your tension might be different or your stitches might be bigger. I know there is this possibility to use a smaller needle, but I decided against that. So I knitted in the round, and I picked up I had knitted the sleeves up to a certain length where I could join them, and then I made the raglan as well. And the raglan looks pretty fine, if you ask me, the way I worked it. Now, can't show the full details, but I was again very proud of myself of conquering my fears of just doing something. But I learned so much from changing a design or the construction of of a sweater, and I thought, great, I've learned something new, something that I can definitely use in the future. And thanks to my friend Irene in the UK, who gave me some tips and advice on how to do this, and confidence as well, as in, you can do that. I do that all the time. Thank you very much. Last one then, in the new techniques section, I found this book in a beautiful bookshop in Dalkey, County Dublin, when I was browsing there one day at the end of the Christmas break. Very dangerous. My goodness, I've invested in some books. I know another knitting acquaintance told me I could have found this in the library as well, but I treated myself to this. More techniques to learn. I don't know if you know it, but there's lots of lace and different types of lace and cables, and I don't know, just absolutely stunning. So much to learn, and I'm not planning to do all this in a year. This will be a handbook that I'll be able to use for years to come, hopefully. Maybe I'll design something with it in the future. Who knows? But yeah. So, what are the plans for the next while? I'm going to complete my sweater, the sweater for my husband, the lounge sweater for men. And I am also going to use this lovely second skein that I got to make some matching mittens to this hat. So I have found a pattern that doesn't have a similar cable as this one, but I am going to work that in because I am confident enough that I can just use the same type of cable. This will be a quick one because it's 5mm needles, so I'll be able to do that in a few days or in a week or so. But again, my 5mm needles are busy because that sweater is on it as well, so I have to take them off. So depends on when I get fed up of working in the round, and I might just take a break and do this in between. Let me see. The other thing I am planning to do is use some other yarn that I found over Christmas. This is a drops lace, I bought it in a second-hand shop for €1, and it's, what is it, 400 meters, it's 50 grams. Must have been in someone's stash and they didn't want it anymore. I bought another variant of the Burren colorway from Townhouse Yarns, but this time it's the Ivy lace, so this is super thin. I found a pattern by Kristtjørn that I'd like to use this with. That's the plan for the moment, and I might have to use a kit silk or two strands of kit silk with this to make this the stronger part, and this the alternating color. I'll show you hopefully in the next vlog. I need to finish a swatch first because that project will need a swatch. Then a third project that is on the go. When I finished my first hat by Joji Locatelli, the Twist Affair, I thought I might have to cast on another one. These colours I still had in my stash, and I'm not going to show more of it because it is a present. So just quickly, it is knit with Townhouse Embers and a kit silk in a matching colour. Kit silk in this green and the same colour that I used in my Kristtjørn sweater that I showed before. These are all leftovers from previous projects. So, but this hat, because it's so quick and it's just a gorgeous pattern, and it's so soft and light when you combine these four. Just look at how that cable works out. Now this one, because it's so light and a lot thinner, will probably get a folded brim. But again, I'll show you that in the next vlog when I finished it. And yeah, hopefully the person who's going to receive that will be happy with it. And then last but not least, I need to find myself a birthday present for my family to purchase for me. They told me, and I thought I actually wanted to treat myself to some knitting needles, because I've been using the Knit Pro needles up to now, a fantastic set that I bought at the end of my All on More time. Their tools. So can you get me any advice on best needles to purchase, or your advice? I have a bit of a budget, I think, for my birthday, and I'm happy to contribute to it myself as well. But what would you get? Would I then need a full set of, say, size 2.5 millimeters up to 10, or will I just purchase, say, 2.5 to 5, or 5.5 is another one that I use a lot. So anyway, your advice would be very welcome on that. Time to finish up. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. I've talked about a lot of projects finished, in progress, and some spinning included as well, some new acquisitions, books. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like this video just below here, and if you'd like to see more, some of the previous episodes or what's coming up, you can subscribe to the channel, of course, and you'll see when a new video pops up. You can also find me on Instagram, where I post on a weekly basis, sometimes more often, sometimes a little bit less often, depends on what I've going on. My handle is just here, and yeah, I'd love to hear what you're working on at the moment. Let me know if you've any nice feedback from today's episode, or if you've any answers for me with regards to good knitting needles, because I'm very interested in that. Thanks everyone for watching and for your support so far, and see you in February.